Hey guys, if you're shopping for knives and gear, make sure you check out the description of the video you're watching right now for links to some great online retailers. There's also individual links for knives that I personally recommend. Thanks! What's going on, YouTube? Metal Complex here, and welcome to episode 63, I think, of The Knife Guy. If you are new to my channel or you just came out of some weird corner of the internet and you have no idea where you are, who I am a knife guy, knife enthusiast, knife collector, knife user, knife enjoyer of many sorts. We are all knife guys and gals in this super duper weird, crazy EDC and knife world. We all go down our own unique paths, but oftentimes those paths intersect and we share many of the, we share many common experiences. And that's what this series is all about that I do every Sunday, is talking about those shared experiences. I like to pick up knives that are either mine or some of my generous viewers and flip them and just sort of, talk and give you guys something to watch. Those of you who are watching, give you guys something to look at. And for those of you who are listening, I guess listen to the sound of knives being deployed and locked away, whatever. Yeah, that's kind of what we do here. So if you're new, welcome. Thank you so much to my generous patrons who are supporting me right now. If you'd like to get your hands on some cool stickers and some other benefits, there is, of course, a link down in the description. Your support would mean the world to me. And make sure you follow me on Instagram right here at metal_complex. All right. Excuse me. So what are we talking about today? You guys know I like to kind of hybridize between other topics that I brought up. Largely because it allows me to create new content, because coming up with new topics can sometimes be difficult. But so my son, who's not very old, he's definitely not old enough to have a pocket knife, but he's always interested. If I have one laying down, he knows he's not supposed to touch it. And it's most of the time it's totally out of reach. But every now and then he'll see me fidgeting with it on the couch, and he's always like, can I see? And I let him look. And he's interested in it. He wants to know how it opens, and because he knows essentially what it's folded and it opens, and they look different. Sometimes they come in different colors, right? And it's always fun for me to do that, and it's fun for me to do that for an adult too. I have a few friends here in real life who have expressed additional interest in the knife world, and some of them are just kind of like, I just want a good knife, and some of them are like, wow, this whole hobby is super interesting, and they really dive into it. And I've done another episode where I talk about the joy of turning somebody else into a knife guy or knife girl. That's always fun, right? It's not, like the best, the purest, most organic form of that is like genuinely wanting to share the interest with somebody, not wanting to bombard them with information that makes you appear super intelligent. That's a little bit toxic, right? But it's just like, hey, this is neat. Are you interested? And yeah, kind of. And then they're like, oh, wow, it is actually really cool. And then you have a new knife pal, right? That's fun. But is that why we acquire all this information? Like, why? So I was sitting there thinking, like, why am I accumulating this information? Well, I like knives. And I like to experience new things, right? And I use them a little bit, and I sharpen them after I use them. Is that why I'm doing this? Am I doing it to scratch the itch? So that I can't, because I'm always itchy for a new thing? Kind of. Am I doing it because I have a YouTube channel, and my YouTube channel depends on the content? Well, yeah, for sure. But it's more than that, because it's a primal urge, right? This hobby, it's not like the urge was created. I've always felt that this kind of thing is buried within all of us, and it shows its face in different forms. For a lot of us, it's knives and gear, or both. For other people, it's other things, right? But we all have this primal instinct to, like, gather information. More or less useful information. I'm laughing because you guys can't see me, but I just did this, like, double windmill, like gathering, like a bear, like gathering a bunch of beehives full of honey. That's how I think of this. Why am I gathering all this information? Why am I focusing in on these little minute details, learning about steel and the different locking mechanisms? Is it just interesting? Does it make me feel better about each purchase that I make? Does it help with the reaffirmation, me understanding everything, right? Does it make me feel cooler when I explain it to people? All of those things, yeah, kind of, yeah. right? I like to know what I'm talking about or sound like I know what I'm talking about. Sometimes it can help bolster a new person's opinion of the world, right? You want to let them know that it's much more complicated than they think. New people coming in, why does that knife cost $200? I didn't know knives got that expensive. Well, yes, they do, but don't knives just cut? Well, yeah, but it's much more complicated than that, right? It's justification, not just for them, but for us. Whether we want to admit it or not, we are justifying this to ourselves. So is that the end of it? Is that all that collectively? Is that what I think? No. I think we're gathering information whether we realize it or not, because part of that primal instinct to gather information on something that we find interesting is, I feel like, probably because we are evolved as beings to want to pass it on. I think, honestly, that's a lot of it. And I started to think about that. And then here's why. It's because I'm getting into flashlights, right? Well, flashlights just... Sorry, I'm turning it back off muggle mode. They shine light on stuff. Neat. Way too many lumens. Right? That's neat. It's kind of interesting because it's dangerous. Flashlights are way more complicated than folding knives. Way more complicated, right? In some ways, those additional complexities translate into utilitarian benefits. For me, no. I found that this thing is really useful for making sandwiches at 10 o'clock at night. Definitely. And like seeing, I hear a weird noise in the garage and I'm like, is there, who's in here? I know nobody's in there, but I'm gonna go look just because I have the flashlight, right? There's nobody in my garage. But I'm sitting on the couch and I'm like, did you hear that noise? And my wife's like, no. And I heard a noise. I better go check it out. There's nobody in there. I just want to use the flashlight. Anyways. But the fact that it is complicated makes me want to learn about it. And I think it, I have limitations when it comes to learning about things. I will not force myself to learn about something that I don't find is interesting. Some people can make them, like, for example, some of you may be listening to this and thinking, Metal Complex is a nice guy. He talks a lot, but he's obviously an idiot. Some of you might be listening and thinking that I'm really intelligent, and I feel, thank you if you think that. The truth is no. I was, a C student in, throughout middle school and high school. In college, I did a little bit better. I think I matured a little bit and was able to pay attention more. But man, I hate paying attention to stuff that I don't think is interesting. I am not good at taking notes. If I think the topic is interesting, then I will take more notes than you could possibly imagine because it is stimulating. I almost get a sense of euphoria out of... I'm sure you guys can tell with knife stuff. I could go on for hours. The only reason that my videos are only 20 minutes long is because I have to cut it off because there's only 6 people and their dog's still listening, right? So, yeah, if it's interesting, I'll pay attention. I'll gather as much information as possible. If it's not interesting, I won't, right? Now, does that mean that I, am one of those people that can, really, like, dive into every last little complexity about a thing or topic? No. Still there, I'm limited. My wife is somebody who can not only take notes and learn about something that she's not necessarily interested in, but also she's able to pick up little details about things that I wouldn't have picked up even being interested in the subject. And that is an example of somebody who's just more intelligent, more mentally capable than I am. My proof of that is that I can't believe she is not interested in folding knives at all, and she still picks up enough of the details to get me a new knife every year for our anniversary, which I find amazing. Oh, God. I have a hard time buying gifts for anybody if it's not a knife. Because I'm like, what do you want? Here's a coffee mug that says best uncle, best uncle. I love my family. I'm just really crappy at giving gifts, Everybody is more or less like that, But anyways, it's kind of a tangent. I'm gathering this information, it's helping me scratch an itch, it's stimulating, it's interesting, right? But my genetic makeup, and everything that is relating to, my primal self, I guess, we do that. We're evolved because we have this instinct to want to pass this information on to help the next whoever be more knowledgeable in not necessarily any specific area, but just collectively, like as the human race, right? I guess that's how I look at it. right? More knowledgeable about this or that. And yeah, that's part of the reason I think why I find this stuff so fascinating, why it's so important to me. You guys are probably wondering, like, why do you upload so much content every day, 2 to 3 uploads? It's because I'm genuinely fascinated with this. And I love the idea of gathering as much knowledge as possible. A lot of it, the conclusion of the gathering of the knowledge, is what gets spit out the other end, which is my mouth, is my opinion, right? But I want to give my opinion. I want to tell people, here's what I think. I think this is worth, your interest, your time, your investment. But here are the limitations of it. Here is the reality of it. Here's how you'll react to it if you are an enthusiast, if you decide you might be a collector or a user, right? And I like to do that because I want to, I have this compulsive urge to spread what I consider to be is the most accurate information about this stuff so that, so that they can go on and experience the knife world for themselves, but with a certain foundation of information, at the back of their mind. And then hopefully that it just keeps, going that way. And I think everybody's like that. Like there's no, I guess a few people probably are very isolated and keep to themselves and they just want to enjoy the hobby for themselves. But there's something, if nobody was like this, then places like Instagram and YouTube and Discord would not exist. We're all like this. We all like to share in it. Some of us are a little bit egotistical and we like to let everybody know how much more we know about everybody else. I'd like to think that I'm not like that, but I also do things that would suggest otherwise. So I try to check myself periodically. But yeah, we like to share in this and give information. I could tell when I was talking with Zach, the Bearer of Light on my Discord, who is one of the most knowledgeable people I've ever met when it comes to flashlights, and I'm sure there are a lot of them out there, but Zach has been helping me. I could tell how enthusiastic he was about giving me this information. I told him directly, I said, Zach, I'm interested in flashlights. I want you to message me everything, right? Here's the parameters. This is what I'm interested in. And I want you to give me everything that you think I might like within these parameters. And Zach I could almost hear, right? He could start a fire with the friction between his palms. He was like, oh, I could hear him cracking his knuckles, getting ready to type. And I like that because I was like, this guy has been given this avenue to directly give his information to somebody else who is interested, willing to accept, and then spread that. He had the opportunity to create, in part, a foundation for me. And he did so successfully because I now have a baseline that I'm going to build off of. These are this FW3A, which is now listed down in my description. Please be careful with flashlights that take lithium-ion batteries. They are dangerous. If you want to go watch my video, if you are new to those types of flashlights, you can watch the video and then find a link in the description where it talks about lithium-ion battery safety and essentially the do's and don'ts of flashlights like this. But anyways, yes, you can pick that flashlight up in my description. It's not expensive. But yeah, he got to do that. And that's fun. And I would imagine there was a little bit of, a euphoric rush, at the opportunity to do that. And those are really the ones you want to, when somebody comes to me and says, I know you're the knife guy. And that's the reason for the name of the show. It's because so many times in my life I've had people go, everybody says you're the knife guy, so I got a question for you. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that because people in real life who've worked with me or are friends, that's how they ask me. And they say, this is what I'm looking for. I don't know anything. This is kind of what I like. And I'm like, oh, yes. Please, let me help you create a foundation because ideally you create this flower that blossoms into a full-blown interest in this. And then you have that you've created another node or another sponge that's willing and ready to soak up information and then churn out its own unique opinions and spread right? And the idea of that perpetual spreading and the exponential spreading of that, that in and of itself is intoxicating to me. And I think that's why I enjoy so much this YouTube channel, because I know that people are initially interested, at least because of the thumbnail. The thing in the thumbnail is interesting to them, so they come to listen, right? And while most people probably don't interact with the video at all, right? In fact, I know they don't. You look at the view count to the like and dislike ratio, and most people don't leave a comment. They don't interact with it. They watch it a couple minutes and go, yeah, I'm going to go watch, whatever, cats. And I like watching cat videos too, so I'm not judging. It's funny to watch cats try to jump off of slippery ledges. Okay, anyways. But the people who do, you're right, the ones who dislike the video, whatever, I don't really care. That's fine. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. The ones who like the video and who comment and are like, hey, thanks for this. I appreciate it. I'm going to take this. And that's what is worth it to me, right? I don't necessarily care that every last person agrees with my opinion. I just care that my words affect people enough to where they take that and they go, okay, I'm going to use this as this information. I'm going to use this as a catalyst in determining what's right for me, or whether or not I'm going to make this decision that I was confused about. I love that. I'm addicted to that idea, and I especially love it when I get that reaffirmation. Somebody comes back and says, I made this purchase, or I made this decision based on what you said, and it turned out to work out for me. Yeah, I love that, right? And I feel like every single person who's watching this video can relate. You don't have to have a YouTube channel. I mean, obviously, you give somebody advice, they take it to heart, and they use it, and it works, and they tell you it works. It makes you happy, right? Yeah, I feel like that's basic human instinct. I always present this information as if I think that it's some sort of like revelation. And just for anybody who's curious, not once has anything that I've ever said on this channel, I don't actually think that it's a revelation, like a brand new thought. This is just repeating thoughts that have been dissected by people who are much smarter than me and who said it long before I did, or at least a version of it, or probably a much more in-depth, right, much better perspective on it. Now, I just like to talk about this stuff and spread this idea or these ideas around, right? I like that because if something good becomes of it, and I try to pick my topics carefully, topics that I think will do substantially more good than any potential harm that could come from them, right? There's an air of positivity on my channel that is on purpose. But I'm aware that I ramble, and things can fly off the rails really quick, but you guys seem to like that for whatever reason. I'm glad that you do. Yeah, I imagine you guys can relate in some way, shape, or form. If you can, I'm always happy for it. If you can't, you think I'm stupid, it doesn't really bother me. That's totally fine. I'm just glad that you guys watched this. So anyways, I think that's about it. That's as much as I can say about this one thing, or as much as I can draw it out anywhere. We're at almost 18 minutes here. That's going to be pretty much it today, guys. If you enjoyed this episode of The Knife Guy, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.